The Galactic Senate chamber buzzed with laughter as the Zorvath delegate played his recording. A grainy video showed a Terran shuttle misfiring during a docking simulation. Sparks flared, the ship spun helplessly, and the clip ended with the pilot swearing in English. "Primitive and combustible," sneered Archduke Vaelthor Marikex, tail flicking lazily beneath his ceremonial cloak. "These Terrans can't dock a freighter without igniting half their station. And yet they seek military parity?" Senators of over 100 star systems chuckled, their voices echoing through the hall's obsidian columns. No Terran representatives were present. Earth wasn't yet granted speaking rights. From orbit above Terra Prime, Commander Era Velasquez muted the live broadcast. Her jaw clenched. Outside her warship's viewport, Earth spun slowly, innocent and unaware of the storm coming. "Commander," said Tactical Officer Ao, eyes on his console. "Slipfold prototype reports complete. Harbinger is ready for field trials." "Get me Admiral Reyes," she said, rising from her seat. "We're done being the punchline of every council joke." She stalked through the narrow corridors of the TSS Harbinger, nodding to crew members, each one chosen not for rank or seniority, but for trust. They were the ones willing to disappear for 6 years and work in silence. Admiral Reyes's face appeared on the screen in the command room. His eyes were heavy with years but burned with purpose. "We're ready," Era said. "Slipfold held under pressure. No spatial drift, no hull distortion. It works." He studied her. "And you're ready to use it? The Zorvath Armada moves on Cygnus in a week. If we wait, we'll be fighting them in our own skies. This tech wasn't built to decorate hangars. You'll be violating half the Terran Accord Charter. Then let it break." There was silence. Then, "Harbinger has operational control. Proceed." She didn't smile. Not yet. 4 hours later, the Harbinger vanished from orbit. It reappeared 46 light-years away, inside the restricted zone of the Dagon mining ring, a heavily fortified Zorvath installation that stripped asteroids for weapons-grade iridium. They didn't see her coming. No warp signature. No jump trail. Just a ripple in space, a shadow where none should be. "Target locks confirmed," Ao called. 14 enemy craft. Minimal defense grid. Fire. Beams lanced across the void. The Harbinger's plasma cannons cut through the command tower. Debris spiraled into nothing. Within seconds, the ring's reactor collapsed in on itself. The remaining ships tried to scramble, too slow. 12 minutes after arrival, the Harbinger vanished again. It reappeared in safe Terran space, undetected and unchallenged. Back on Earth, the news was sanitized. "Unexplained explosion in Dagon Belt," read one Galactic bulletin. "Suspected pirate raid." But Vaelthor knew better. His data logs showed nothing. No enemy approach. No escape path. The fortress simply fell apart. He snarled before his war council. "Earth, what have you done?" On Terra Prime, Era entered a council meeting uninvited. The chamber fell silent as she stepped into the light, uniform scorched, boots still dusted with reactor ash. "The Zorvath attack our colonies. We retaliated," she said simply. High Chancellor Neema stood. "Commander, you acted without authorization. We're still pursuing diplomatic solutions. You can't negotiate with beings who see you as insects. Power must be tempered." "No," Era snapped. "Power must be proven," the council murmured. "You've guaranteed war," Neema said coldly. "No," Era replied. "I've shown them we can strike from nowhere and vanish before they scream. I bought us time." Councillor Wing leaned forward. "How?" Era looked at him, calm as steel. "We no longer move through space. We fold it." Back on the Harbinger, Era sat in her quarters. The lights dimmed. She glanced at the holoframe on her desk. Her brother, Diego, laughed in the image. He wore the old Earth Space Program uniform, before the Zorvath took him on a training exchange. That was 8 years ago. They returned his ashes in a sealed crate. That was the day she stopped trusting peace. The door chimed. Enter. Lieutenant Orban stepped in, stiff-backed. I need to speak off record. She gestured to the chair. He didn't sit. You're planning more strikes. Yes. And if the council grounds us? I override them. He hesitated. This slip-fold tech, it's unnatural. Faster than light, no trace. No rules. It'll make us monsters in their eyes. We already are, Era said. We just never had the teeth to bite back. Orban opened his mouth, then closed it. He left without another word. In deep Zorva space, Archduke Veilthor summoned his Imperial strike fleet. I want Earth burned, he told his admirals. Let their bones be reminders of the dangers of pretending to be more than prey. The admirals bowed. But one hesitated. My lord, they moved without being seen. How do we fight what we cannot track? Veilthor's eyes narrowed. Then we remind them, he growled. Why shadows still fear the fire? The war room aboard TSS Harbinger was quiet, save for the low hum of projection nodes displaying Zorvath space. Red dots pulsed across the star map, supply routes, mining colonies, weapons depots. Everything the Zorvath needed to move their war machine. Commander Era Velasquez traced a line from the Dagon belt to the Corward front. 5 seconds. That's how long it would take to slip-fold from one to the other. 12 targets, she said. Simultaneous strikes. No pattern. No warning. No return signature. Lieutenant Orban stared at the map, uneasy. That many jumps back to back? If even one calibration is off, then we leave debris. But they'll be scared of where we'll show up next, not what we lost. Her command crew exchanged glances. Everyone knew what this meant. No support. No backup. If they were caught, there would be no rescue. But Era's tone left no room for debate. This is Operation Ghostnet. We vanish. We strike. We fold out. Hours later, space split apart over the twin moons of Trakna, where a Zorvath fuel refinery operated under light security. The Harbinger appeared mid-orbit and immediately opened fire. Plasma torpedoes tore into the refinery's heat exchangers. The explosion lit up the ice moon's surface. Then the Harbinger vanished before ground control could broadcast a distress call. Minutes later, it reappeared above Gorik 3, disabling a weapons convoy mid-launch. Then again, above Kravak Station, where it planted a slip bomb and blinked away before it detonated. 6 strikes in under an hour. Far across the sector, on the Zorvath flagship Kestilon, Archduke Veilthor's claws scraped across his command chair. They're mocking us, he hissed, voice low and sharp. No warp trail. No FTL signatures. They do not fly, they appear. His spymaster offered no comfort. Even our predictive AIs cannot locate their points of origin. Their fleet might be no more than a dozen ships, but we're blind to them. Veilthor stood slowly, eyes locked on the galactic map. No prey deserves this cleverness. He pointed to Terra Prime. Summon the Armada. Enough games. Back on Earth, the Terran High Council convened in secret. The news of the raids had leaked. The people were celebrating. Finally, humanity had struck back. But inside the council chamber, fear gripped the politicians. We're poking a sleeping god, Chancellor Naima whispered. The Archduke's fleet outnumbers ours 1,000 to 1. Councillor Wang, usually calm, snapped. And you would rather wait for them to burn our cities? I'd rather we not escalate into extinction. Naima shot back. A hologram flickered to life. Era's face stared back, unflinching. We've crippled 6 critical supply lines, she reported. They won't strike immediately. They'll posture threaten. That buys us days. Maybe a week. You've thrown us into war, Naima said. No, Era replied. I'm dragging us out of surrender. The feed cut. Below deck on the Harbinger, tension simmered. The crew was tired. Not from battle, but from the mental toll, slipping through space with no sense of direction, no sound, no motion. Folding reality left the stomach behind, even when the tech worked perfectly. Orban found her alone in the observation bay. "You're bleeding," he said, pointing to a gash on her temple. She wiped it without looking away from the stars. "Smashed my head on the console during Fold 3. You're running too hot, Commander. Not enough time to cool." He sat beside her. "They admire you. Even the ones who don't like you. But they're scared. You're not sleeping. Neither are they. I don't need them to sleep. I need them alive." He hesitated. "You've changed." She turned to him, eyes sharper than usual. "You think this is about me? I've buried more Terrans than I can count, Orban. My brother. My best friend. Civilians. Children. Burned, enslaved, dissected. We've tried peace. They called it submission. We tried patience. They called it weakness. This," she pointed upward, "this is the only thing they respect." Orban looked away. "I just want us to be more than ghosts," he said quietly. She softened, just a breath. "Then help me haunt them." The final strike of the night came at Delsaran Fortress. The largest Zorvath weapons development hub, tucked inside a hollowed asteroid and guarded by heavy artillery platforms. The Harbinger arrived behind its defense ring, slipping in through blind coordinates no one thought reachable. "Locking target on reactor core," Ao said. "Do it." The explosion sent shockwaves rippling across the asteroid's crust. The fortress crumpled inward as fire consumed its labs. Era watched from her seat, silent. The Empire would feel this one. But the ship didn't fold out. "Fold drive is unresponsive," said the engineer. "Telemetry loop misaligned." "How long to fix?" 6 minutes. They didn't have 6 minutes. Zorvath reinforcements were already inbound. "Redirect all power to shields," Era ordered. "Ready missiles." "We hold." As the first enemy ships dropped from warp, Harbinger fired blind into the black. 6 minutes later, the full drive sparked to life. The ship vanished again, leaving twisted debris and a half-destroyed Zorvath squadron in its wake. Era slumped back in her chair, lungs burning. Her hands shook, but she hid it behind her gloves. "That's 9 targets in 12 hours, Ao said quietly. "They'll retaliate." "Let them," Era replied. "They'll come chasing ghosts." The TSS Harbinger floated above Europa outposts, cloaked in the quiet illusion of safety. Below, a hospital ship offloaded survivors from Cygnus Station. Children, medics, scorched marines, what remained of the colony after the Zorvath raid. Commander Era Velasquez watched from the command deck. Her jaw tightened at the sight of a young boy clutching a torn Earth flag. Cygnus had been unarmed. The Empire hadn't cared. "They didn't even ask for surrender," Lieutenant Ao said, voice low. "Just opened fire." "They sent a message," Era replied. "Now we answer." In the War Council aboard the Harbinger, holograms flickered, maps, beacons, ship schematics. At the center, Kexdale, the Zorvath capital. A fortress world encased in overlapping shields, anti-telemetry fields, and hunter drones. Untouchable by conventional means. But Era didn't believe in conventional anymore. "We embed a fold beacon inside their orbital defense perimeter," she said. "A diplomatic vessel gets us close. Then we drop a battle group into orbit, cut their throat before they blink." Lieutenant Orban stood. "We'd be teleporting a war fleet over a city. You'll kill civilians." "They're not civilians. Every adult on Kexdale has combat certification. That's justification, not strategy." "No. It's math," she said. "We hit now, they fall back. We hesitate, we fall." Captain Sora Chin, recently recovered from the Cygnus attack, leaned in. "I'll deliver the beacon." Era looked at her. "You're not mission fit. I know their protocols. I've served in Kexdale airspace. I can fly diplomatic colors without raising flags. Let me do this." Era hesitated, then nodded. "One ship. No escort. You activate the beacon, then get out." Sora smiled grimly. "I won't need to get out. Archduke Veilthor surveyed the burning wreckage of his forward base on Malthus Reach. Human-made, precise, unpredictable. The last strike had vaporized the Zorvath noble cruiser before it could launch. He turned to his defense minister. "They are everywhere and nowhere. What force have we provoked?" "We believe they move via quantum fold," the minister said. "A forbidden mechanism, unstable and uncontrollable," Veilthor growled. "Unstable, perhaps. But not uncontrollable. Everything breaks when pressed hard enough." He paced. "Summon my blood guard. And triple the shielding on Kexdale. Earth thinks itself clever. We will drown them in their cleverness." Sora's diplomatic vessel, the Equinox, glided through Zorvath border space under formal clearance. White hull, gold Terran Accord seal. The Galactic translation matrix played on loop. "We seek audience. We bring peace." Inside, Sora sat in her captain's chair, sweat slicking her back. In the cargo hold, the fold beacon waited, packed inside a diplomatic crate, masked from sensors by quantum shielding. Zorvath Command hailed her as she neared orbit. "This is Captain Chen, Terran Accord. I request peaceful entry to speak with the Imperial Senate on neutral ground." A pause. Then, permission. She didn't smile. This wasn't diplomacy. It was sacrifice. From the Harbinger, Aira watched the beacon's signal blink to life. Signal confirmed. "She made it," Ao said. Orban stood nearby, tense. "She's not coming back, is she?" Aira's voice was quiet. She knew that. A pause. Then, commence the GhostNet link. Lock the fleet to the beacon. All wings, prepare for combat insertion. The room darkened. Gravity trembled. Reality bent. On Kexdale, as the Equinox docked, Sora was escorted through a corridor of armed Zorvath. Her eyes scanned the station walls, counting meters, plotting angles. Guards barked questions. She offered no resistance. At a security checkpoint, they demanded her cargo manifest. She opened the diplomatic crate. Inside, an encrypted Terran beacon. The lead guard leaned in, then recoiled as it activated with a hum that defied natural frequency. A blue pulse spread outward. "Emergency lockdown," the guard began. Too late. Above Kexdale, the sky screamed. Terran ships folded into orbit without warning. Space twisted, then unfolded with the soundless roar of artificial gravity rupturing. The Harbinger, leading 12 vessels, dropped in above the Senate spire. "Targets locked," Ao called. "Defenses are confused, shield harmonics disrupted by the fold." "Strike now," Aira ordered. "This is our only clean shot." Plasma barrages rained down. Anti-air towers shattered. The Senate dome imploded under precision fire. Zorvath cruisers scrambled to launch, but the Terran fleet was already shifting positions, blinking around the battlefield in coordinated patterns. Veilthor's command ship emerged from orbit. "Terran vessel," he snarled across comms. "You will face extinction for this." Aira's face appeared on his screen. "No. You will." She terminated the feed and folded Harbinger behind his flank. A single antimatter torpedo dropped from the belly of her ship. It streaked through space and detonated directly against his starboard engine bank. The Archduke's vessel spun, crippled. In the aftermath, Terran ships vanished as quickly as they came. Zorvath's capital floated in wreckage. Over 60% of its orbital defenses were gone. Casualties, enormous. But Kexdale still stood. Aira didn't care. They had delivered a message. Later, in the quiet of the debriefing chamber, Orban sat across from her. "You use Sora," he said. "She volunteered. She died. She saved us." He said nothing for a moment. Then, "You think we've won?" "No," Aira whispered. "But for the first time in history, they're afraid." The stars above Kexdale still bore the scars of the last strike: drifting wreckage, frozen fire, fractured silence. Emergency beacons blinked across orbit like dying eyes. The Empire called it a tragedy. The Terran Accord called it a warning. Commander Era Velasquez stood on the Harbinger's bridge, arms folded behind her back, eyes fixed on a silent screen. Status? She asked. Ao's voice was tight. Veilthor's flagship, Bloodward Crown, is operational again. Repairs complete. They've regrouped half their fleet around the capital. Defenses? Restored. Better shield harmonics. They adapted fast. Good, she said. So will we. In the deep void beyond Zorva space, 12 Terran ships floated in coordinated silence. Their hulls bristled with slip nodes, pulse arrays, folding spike charges, experimental tech layered over raw Terran ingenuity. Operation Foldfire had one goal: end Zorva's supremacy in a single, decisive strike. They wouldn't attack the Senate this time. They were going for the throat. On board the Bloodward Crown, Archduke Veilthor donned ceremonial armor. A relic. Jet black, forged from the molten bones of his house's first conquest. Let Earth come, he growled. This time, we meet them in open fire. No shadows. No tricks. A fleet of 400 Zorvath warships orbited behind him. Layers of overlapping energy nets shimmered in synchronized pulses. Even the Galactic Core Guard had reinforced his call. He would crush Terra's rebellion. Personally. Era gathered her senior officers in the command chamber. No ceremony, no grand speech, only clarity. We'll fold into orbit, but this time, they'll see it coming. No more clean insertions. No surprise. They've prepared for us. That's fine. Ao frowned. If they anticipate us, they'll lock the orbitals. Exactly, she said. Which is why we don't strike from orbit. Confused silence followed. She pointed to a highlighted vector, a breach path. We teleport through their blockade. Inside their flagship. One ship only. The rest create decoy folds around the defense grid. They won't know what's real until we're in their lungs. Orban narrowed his eyes. You're suggesting we teleport inside Bloodward Crown? Yes. That's suicide. No, Era said. It's leverage. The final fold began with silence. No countdown, no ignition, no tremor. One moment the Harbinger was nowhere. The next, it tore into the main corridor of Bloodward Crown's central deck like a bullet through bone. Metal shrieked. Bulkheads twisted. Zorvath guards were crushed before alarms could wail. Era emerged with a full combat unit, weapons primed. She led them through smoke and flame without hesitation. In and out, she said through comms. Find the core. Set the charge. Get to the drop point. They moved like ghosts through a beast's belly. On the bridge of Bloodward Crown, Veilthor staggered as the floor pitched violently. Lights flickered. Hull breach warnings lit up in crimson. They're inside, shouted a guard. He turned slowly, face unreadable. Seal all levels. Flush them out with plasma. They've bypassed security, heading for the fusion core. Veilthor hissed, slamming a fist into the console. I will not die in the dark. Bring me to them. Deep inside the flagship's core reactor ring, Era's team planted the slip-charged warhead, antimatter, folded within folded space, small enough to bypass radiation alarms but powerful enough to split a planet. Orban keyed the arming sequence. 2 minutes. From the far corridor, enemy footsteps thundered closer. Era turned. Time's up. They ran. Smoke roared behind them as they sprinted through the burning halls. The Harbinger, slave to the beacon, began its autofold protocol. It would lock onto the evac signal and pull them out, or leave them. Gunfire screamed from above. Era spun, dropping 3 Zorvath guards. One shot struck her shoulder. She winced but didn't stop. They reached the drop point, a blast-shielded chamber with minimal interference. Orban activated the beacon. Nothing happened. Ao shouted over the comm. Graviton flux! It's jamming the fold. We can't lock onto your position. Era didn't hesitate. Reset the drive manually. That'll expose you. I'm already exposed. She shoved Orban toward the beacon. Go. Era. That's an order. Orban hesitated, then slammed the manual override. The beacon flared blue. Energy wrapped around them. Aira watched her crew vanish one by one, Orban last, staring at her with something between rage and heartbreak. The fold sealed. Alone, Aira turned back toward the corridor. Veilthor stood there. He looked more like stone than flesh. Smoke danced behind him. His blade gleamed. You crawled into my fortress, he said, stepping forward. Like a rat. And you built it on blood, she replied. Now it collapses. They charged. Steel met plasma. Sparks shrieked. She wasn't stronger. But she was faster. She dodged, ducked, struck. Her blade bit into his side, shallow, but it slowed him. He roared and slashed her across the ribs. She gasped, staggered back, but smiled. Check the clock, she whispered. Veilthor turned, just in time to see the reactor ring swell with light. From orbit, the Harbinger reappeared, scorched, systems screaming. Signal lost, Ael whispered. She didn't make it. Orban closed his eyes. Then the blood-ward crown erupted. A silent sphere of expanding light swallowed half the sky. Shield lattices shattered. Ships lost power. Entire formations buckled. Zorvath forces fled. The battle was over in under 6 minutes. 3 days later, the Galactic Senate held an emergency session. The Terran Accord was recognized as a sovereign military power. The Zorvath Dominion lost its Senate vote, its fleets recalled. Earth, once dismissed as insignificant, was now a strategic force. No one laughed. Aira's name became legend. Statues were commissioned. Cities renamed. But in the heart of every Terran ship, a plaque was placed with the final words from her last transmission. They feared our primitivism. They should have feared our imagination.